How you doing? Pete Regnier here on Hometown Cable Sports with Calvin Castine behind the camera, even though I'm sporting one of my own. So we'll have a two-camera shoot tonight here in Montreal for the second game of the three-game set between the Mets and the Expos. As you can see behind me are the Mets, including Todd Zeal, John Franco over there, all the guys stretching out, getting ready for the beginning of the second game. As we stand today before the game, the Mets are only 4 games out of first place. They blew a golden opportunity, though, over the weekend to creep to within 2.5, but it just didn't happen. But they're hanging in there with 4 games out, with 12 games left in the season. The Mets do have a chance to make the playoffs. You never know; they could tie for the division. They won the coin toss, so if there is a tie, they will play at home at Shea Stadium. But if there's a 3-way tie, I don't know if they've determined that yet. I guess there would be. Like what happened, what might have happened a few years back between the Cubs and the Mets and a third team. I forget actually who it was in the wild card. Oh, I think it was the Giants. But the Mets solved that problem by losing their last game of the season, so they weren't involved. And the Cubs and the Giants played that special playoff game. But last night, Mike Piazza hit a home run, and the Mets won the game 2-0. Fine pitching performance by Kevin Appier, and an equally good performance, not equally because he lost, but Carl Pavano really pitched well in the loss, considering his first 2 times out. He just got mauled by the opposition. The Expos, who knows what's going to happen next year, but word has it, Calvin told me he heard on the radio that if they actually hold the Grey Cup, which is of course the CFL championship game, here, they are going to hold it in Montreal, but if they're going to hold it here, the Canadian Football League wants a new turf. A new turf would go a long way towards saying that the Expos would stay. But I think with the disaster in New York City, baseball won't be thinking anytime soon, next season or the season after, I don't think, to be uprooting any franchises, including the Expos, who are floundering in attendance. But they're not a bad team. So we're going to see if we can get a little batting practice video from some of the big power-hitting Mets. And maybe we'll be able to catch John Franco for a few words before the Mets head back into the clubhouse. And, of course, we'll get post-game stuff from both locker rooms. And we'll fill you in on what's happening here. Tomorrow's the last game, the third game of this set, the last game this year in Montreal. And some people might have thought it'd be the last game ever. But like I said, I don't see baseball making a move anytime soon. So we'll catch up with you a little later in the game.
Peter, we see Mike Piazza and Orlando Cabrera over there. I think I heard Piazza ask Cabrera where he had his hair done. I think he likes that orange hair.
Yeah, he might. That yellow chicken soup-like tint he's got going there. Or maybe he's saying, look, Orlando, I'll tell you what, you know, you'd look pretty good there in a Mets uniform. So what do you say we work out a deal? We'll send Ray Ordonez up here, and you come to New York.
I think everybody except maybe Ray Ordonez would go for that idea. And a lot of mingling between the two teams. And last night before the game, Pete, as we see Raines talking to a few of the men in black, they had both anthems. The players lined up along the first base and third base line and came out and shook hands, as was done in the games that when the teams came back from the layoff after the World Trade Center disaster. They did the same type of thing last night. Whether they'll do that again tonight in the second game of this series, I kind of doubt. But they did do that last night, and it was a very nice little ceremony.
Yeah, it's good to see. And you know, in the first game back at Shea, I watched that game when they played the Braves, and you know, the songs and the pregame stuff was marvelous. But at the end, you know, you saw the Mets and the Braves, you know, embracing each other and shaking each other's hands, and that's just, who would have thunk that? Yeah. Not me.
Of course, they weren't embracing after the game, but you know, at least before the game, it's nice to get that type of a camaraderie. Well, as you can see, these guys know each other. There's no rivalry here because Expos are out of it, and the Mets are in the thick of things. And obviously, the Expos are going to try their darndest to win tonight and tomorrow night. But a lot of friendship here. We had a lot of Latin American players over to our left here when the Mets first came out. Both clubs, they were carrying on a conversation that neither you or I could understand, but they were really enjoying seeing each other and shaking hands, and you can tell it was genuine friendship there.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the Latin players have kind of like a community sense of things, and I don't know why that is. You don't see the the white guys, you don't see the black guys hanging around in a group like the Latin players seem to do.
Well, maybe if we went to Japan and we saw some of the American players over there, it's the same type of thing over there. You're so anxious to see somebody who speaks your language and can relate to you that you feel this kinship.
Well, especially now that you can see that perennial slugger extraordinaire, Tuffy Rhodes, the new single-season Japanese home run king. I mean, wow.
I heard that on the radio yesterday that he was about to beat Sadahara O for the all-time single-season mark, and there's a guy who probably wouldn't be hitting anywhere near that many if he were over here in the States right now.
Oh God, I think he had three career Major League home runs. Two of them he hit against the Mets on opening day about 6 years ago when he was with the Cubs. That was pretty funny, but he might have hit three that day, now that I think about it. I know it was at least two. But, yeah, Tuffy Rhodes, that's a joke. And a friend of mine, I said to him, I said, geez, boy, I guess the pitching in Japan can't be that good because, look at Tuffy Rhodes. And he said, of course it's not that good. All the good ones are over here.
Yeah, we keep snagging the good ones, and we've picked up a couple of good everyday players right now with Sinjo here in the Mets and Ichiro Suzuki over at the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, Ichiro is a great player, and like I told you before the cameras were rolling, Shinjo, I think if you had two superstar outfielders, he'd be a fine third outfielder. If like you have on the Mets, you've kind of got a group of people that are all the same. He kind of molds into like a group of four outfielders, but he could be a good third outfielder. On any major league team, really. You wouldn't want him to be your star outfielder, but you could get by with him as the number 3 guy.
Okay, Franco has told Peter that they will be talking to the media very shortly. We brought along Nate Castine, who has been upstairs in the press box, and Nate will be on the field. Peter and Nate will probably be on opposite ends here of the field during the game with video cameras. If there is a highlight, we might capture it. And we're going to, as Peter said, we're going to be going to both locker rooms tonight. The managers in each locker room meet with the press at the same time. So tonight we asked Peter to bring along his camera. So I'll be in one locker room, Peter will be in the other, and it looks like Franco's about to talk.
John, the Hall has asked for the uniform and for the cap, the fire department cap. From what you understand, what are the reasons why they've asked for yours specifically?
Well, from what I was told is because I symbolize the New York athlete, and I'm homegrown from New York, and I have a close tie with the men and women from the fire department. I have some family who are firemen, I have some friends who are firemen, so it's kind of nice, but on the other hand, it's much rather go into the Hall of Fame under different circumstances, but it's kind of nice to be symbolized as that athlete in the New York area. And, it's a nice gesture, but one that I wish was under different circumstances.
Perfect. Thanks, John.
What about Tony tonight? He had good stuff. He just lost his rhythm and maybe timing a little bit in that first inning. He was throwing the Dickens out of the ball. He had a great warm-up in the bullpen. One of those warm-ups you figured something really special was going to happen, but he got in that first inning and just couldn't locate the ball.
How does that get lost from bullpen to the mound? Are there any idea how? Because you'd figured you'd march right out there and keep throwing the same.
Yeah, you never can judge what happens in the bullpen. I mean, I've seen in the past a lot of experiences with even the great ones like Koufax had a terrible warm-up time, be outstanding in the game, and vice versa. I don't know the answer. Sometimes the mounds are different. The adrenaline flow is probably a little bit different. But he had good stuff. He was throwing the dickens out of the ball, but he just all of a sudden couldn't find a release point. He was kind of in little different arm slots for a while. But to his credit, he got back. Unfortunately, threw so many pitches early that he was kind of blown out a little bit near the end of the game. As strong as he is, it still took its toll. You know, he was throwing that last inning. After 5 innings, it was in the 90s with pitches.
Any thoughts about maybe shutting him down for the rest of the season right now? Or are you gonna
No, he's so strong. No. He's a competitor, too. He didn't want to come out then. No, I don't think so. If he were hurt, it'd be different. But that back is not bothering him. So, no, we're careful with that. No, I think the best thing for him and for his psyche would get back out there as quickly as we can get him there.
And Glenn and Rush on the other side pitched a good game against you guys again.
Yeah, they're getting great pitching, and they're doing a heck of a job with a change in speeds, locating well. That the pitching sets the tone, and if the opposition sometimes make all the pitches, it makes you look like you're not trying. You know, you look like you're scuffling. It happened to us last night, and then a couple of plays tonight. You know, the double play hurt us early. But yeah, you've got to tip your cap. That's the reason why they've been on a run. They've been getting great pitching.
Pitching's made all that more spectacular by the fact that they lost the regular catcher and just kind of didn't miss a beat, it seemed.
Yeah, Vance Wilson did a nice job with him. Yeah, and of course it's a veteran pitcher too, which helps. Yeah, I don't know how badly Piazza was hurt, but he took a shot. You could hear it was all skin on that. I don't know how badly he's hurt, but he's an important cog to them, obviously.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
How did you feel after the first two hits of the Expos tonight? First two hits.
Well, the ball went in the gap, and then the high hopper didn't. With 2 strikes, Glenn left the ball inside the Mordecai, and I thought we had to get out of the inning, and we did.
What adjustments you got here late? What is Mike's status?
Mike hit a ball off. The ball hit right on his thumb. Hit solid. It was numb. When I got out there, he had no feeling in it, but the X-rays were negative.
Tomorrow she can play?
Swelling stays down. And he has.
You said it's
Good strength. If the swelling stays down, I don't know how it'll be overnight.
What adjustments did?
Pretty scary.
Yeah, that was a scary moment.
I guess some rocks for that guys. Got a lucky double play. Was able to set him down after that. Some games, that's the biggest difference. When you have an inning like that where they hit the balls right at guys and you get out of it, that can make all the difference in the world.
Did you get any sense out there when the first 3 guys get on? Here we go. Did you have to battle that at all?
Not as bad as last game. I think tonight I felt better. I felt like my stuff was better. My command was there tonight. I made a couple bad pitches in good spots there in the first inning, and I hit them hard. But I felt better as far as what I had out there tonight.
Did you hear rumblings you might not start today?
Just from you guys. You guys mentioned it to me.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I want to. I mean, especially it's do or die right now, and there's nothing better than to have chances to pitch in these situations and help. And I think what I went through last year in the playoffs and everything, this is that same type of atmosphere, and I really like that.
Is there any difference on Vance than to Mike?
No, I mean it's the same. It's just a matter of me knowing my game plan and making my pitches and just sticking with it. You know?
The moment you said that you spoke, you noticed some greater determination. There's one.
Yeah.
You saw something that was there?
I definitely was as focused as I could be today to come out and have a good outing. And like I said before, it's do or die right now. And when you get a chance to contribute, you have to do everything you can. And I think if anything, my last outing I was probably a little bit mentally not on top of my game, and that hurts.